Welcome to our next episode of Indiana Team's Wonderful World of Edmentum. Today we are lucky to have a guest speaker with us, Allison Ireland from our product team, who's going to talk to us about project-based learning. Allison, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. So I'm Allison Ireland. I'm the Director of Product Strategy and Partnerships at Edmentum. And I have been with Edmentum for a very long time and seen a lot of different products and gotten to work on several of them, including what we're going to talk about today. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Thank you again for your time today. So, Allison, what is the purpose of project-based learning, also known as PBL?
So project-based learning, it's also been called inquiry-based learning. It's really about giving students the opportunity to explore, collaborate, and think outside the box of what they might do in a normal classroom. It really gives them opportunities to find other ways of thinking and to get creative about problems that, they may not otherwise even think about solving.
Good.
Thank you. And what type of skills do learners develop by engaging in PBL lessons?
Well, that's the best part. They engage in so many different things that it really builds a lot of skills. So it's building creative thinking and problem solving. It's building critical thinking skills as they're researching and trying to determine how something might work. It's also building some of their collaborative skills and presentational skills that they can take with them into college or the workforce.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what does it look like? What does a product, or I'm sorry, a project-based learning activity in Edmentum actually look like? And what are the types of activities that kids are going to be doing in a PBL lesson through Edmentum?
So we've got a variety of lessons. I'm going to show a sample of my favorite one, which is Becoming a Martian, all about how you would set up a colony on Mars. But we've got a variety of different activities, and they really follow a similar model. Every single one has some sort of explanation of what a student is going to do. In this case, what would it be like to colonize Mars? What would it be like to live there? What kind of things would you need? What jobs? And really thinking through from a student perspective, how they might go about colonizing Mars and the problems they might have to solve depending on which job role they've chosen. The activity is really great. It gives a lot of background and information. There are videos for students to watch. There are research activities in here, including a lot of different ways for students to explore their learning, both from a science perspective in this case, but also in other areas of their curriculum. A lot of our activities are very STEM based and very focused on that STEM mindset, but we're also looking at things like having to present on something, having to write an essay, having to answer questions. We provide a lot of resources for our students, including rubrics and checklists, so they can make sure that they're really thinking through each step of the project. And then every project's broken down really simply into a number of parts so that a student can come back and say, you know what, I've already gotten through grade part 3, I'm on part 4 now. And I'm going to submit this great choose a challenge activity. So what's our primary challenge to human life on another planet, and solve that problem. I get to think through a bunch of different questions. I get to think about those obstacles and skill sets. And it's going to help me build a presentation that I'll be able to record and send to my teacher at the end of this entire project. And that's it. It's super easy for a student to use. It looks a lot like courseware. And it's really easy for teachers to assign and add to their own curriculum.
Wow, that is amazing. I know as a teacher, I would have loved this, especially when I was in the middle school level at teaching social studies. What a great resources for teachers that helps really enhance student learning. So thinking about that, STEM and cross-curricular learning have been emphasized over the last few years. And with many schools looking for accelerated learning options to help support students and gain knowledge that we've lost over the COVID pandemic, how can PBL lessons support these efforts?
So project-based learning is so important for students because it's building so many skill sets that they're going to take beyond the classroom. They're going to take this into their sports and into their, musicals or theater productions that they're doing, because they're going to think about how to solve these different problems and think through them as a group. They're also going to take these skills into the workforce. But what's really important is that we don't forget, in the middle of recovering from a pandemic, that all of our subject areas are super important and they all really well blend together. Project-based learning is a great way to find ways to accelerate that learning for students and say, I know my kids are struggling with their math classes, but what if I made something fun for them to do around math that also brought in some of the subjects they're better at? What are there ways that I can get students to think through more than just one subject at a time and help support their learning across multiple subjects instead? And project-based learning is a great way to do that, especially with, ELA research skills. That is a huge boon in project-based learning. So there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think it's really important for teachers to remember that, if students have fun learning and they're experiencing something, they're going to accelerate their learning naturally.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love the idea of cross-curricular. Being a social studies teacher, I was, when I was at the social studies, we worked with the English teachers, the science
Absolutely.
teachers. We did some things like that. And I think with the kids, those are some of the most memorable lessons that we did collectively. So, Allison, I want to thank you so much for your time, for giving us a better understanding of the PBL lessons that we have in Edmentum. And, have a wonderful day.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank
you
you
guys
so much.
too.